Everyone wants freedom, more time, more money, more choice, the ability to wake up and do exactly what you want, when you want, with no one telling you otherwise. That's the dream, and most people spend their entire lives chasing it. But here's what almost nobody tells you, and what took history's greatest minds centuries to figure out. The path to freedom runs directly through discipline, not around it, not after it, through it. And if that sounds backwards to you, good, because it is backwards from everything you've been told. And that's exactly why most people never get there. In the next few minutes, I want to show you why the way most people think about discipline is completely wrong, and how reframing it changes not just what you do, but who you become. This isn't about willpower. It's not about waking up at 4 a.m. or punishing yourself into productivity. It's about something much more fundamental, a truth about human nature that the Stoics understood 2,000 years ago and that neuroscience is only now catching up to. Stay with me? Most of us grew up believing freedom means the absence of constraint, no rules, no obligations, no one telling you what to do, just pure, unlimited choice. And on the surface, that sounds right. Freedom should feel like a blank canvas, infinite possibility stretching out in every direction. But watch what actually happens when people get that kind of freedom. The lottery winner who quits his job has no structure and is miserable within 2 years. The retiree who counted down to the day he'd finally be free and then doesn't know what to do with himself. The college student on summer break who spends 3 months doing nothing and comes back feeling worse than when he left. Unlimited choice without direction doesn't feel like freedom. It feels like drift. And drift, over time, feels like a slow disappearing act, like you're fading out of your own life. The ancient Stoics had a word for this. They called it akrasia, acting against your own better judgment, doing what you know you shouldn't, not doing what you know you should. And they understood something we've mostly forgotten, that a person without discipline isn't free. They're just a slave to whatever impulse arrives next. Here's where I want to reframe something. Most people think of discipline as restriction, as saying no, as forcing yourself through something unpleasant because you have to. But that's not what discipline is. That's just pain management. Real discipline is a form of active self authorship. It's the daily practice of deciding who you are and then becoming that person on purpose instead of by accident. Think about it this way. Every day you wake up, you're going to become someone. Choices will be made, habits will be reinforced. The question isn't whether you'll change. You will. The question is whether the change is directed by you or by whoever and whatever has the loudest claim on your attention that day. Discipline is the mechanism by which you take the wheel. And here's what changes when you understand it that way. It stops feeling like a cage and starts feeling like a tool, the most powerful tool you have. Marcus Aurelius, Roman emperor, one of the most powerful men in the ancient world, wrote in his private journals, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." He wasn't writing that for an audience. He was writing it to remind himself. Every single day, he had to choose discipline over impulse, power over drift. And he did it not because he had to, but because he understood that it was the only way to remain free inside a life full of forces trying to control him. Here's something that will make this concrete. Your brain has two primary systems constantly competing for control of your behavior. The first is the limbic system, ancient, fast, emotional. It wants pleasure now, comfort now, the path of least resistance now. It doesn't care about your goals. It cares about surviving the next 5 minutes. The second is the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that can imagine the future, weigh consequences, and make decisions aligned with who you actually want to be. It's slower, it requires effort, and crucially, it can be trained. Every time you choose the harder thing, exercise when you don't want to, work when you'd rather scroll, sleep when you'd rather stay up, you're not just doing that one thing. You're strengthening the neural pathway that makes the next right choice easier. Neuroscientists call this the cognitive control network, and decades of research confirm the same thing. People who consistently exercise self discipline don't experience it as a constant battle, they experience it as a default. The discipline gets easier, not because the world gets easier, it doesn't, but because the trained mind stops fighting itself. That's when freedom arrives, not as a reward at the end of some distant finish line, but as a daily experience, the quiet confidence of a person who knows they can trust themselves. Jocko Willink, retired Navy SEAL commander, built an entire philosophy around four words: discipline equals freedom. At first, it sounds like a paradox, but now you understand what he means. The person who wakes up early has more productive hours. The person who trains their body has more physical capability. The person who saves money has more options. The person who finishes what they start has more to show for their time. In every case, the discipline came first. The freedom followed. And the person who waits for motivation, who waits for the perfect conditions, who waits until they feel like doing the hard thing, they're not free. They're waiting, and waiting is the longest, shortest road to nowhere. You don't have to do everything at once. You don't have to become a different person overnight. But I want you to think about one area of your life, just one, where you've been waiting for freedom instead of building it, where you've been hoping circumstances would change instead of making a decision. Because freedom isn't found, it's constructed, one disciplined choice at a time. Start today, not Monday, not next month. Today. If this gave you something to think about, sit with it, write it down. And if you want to go deeper, the next video I'm releasing is about something that might challenge you even more. Why the advice you've been given about motivation is not just wrong, it's actively working against you. I'll see you there.